for his statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Mr. President, we thank you for organizing today's meeting on such an important subject as strengthening triangular cooperation between the Security Council, troop and police contributing countries, and the UN Secretariat on issues of the UN's peacekeeping activity. We thank the USG Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the Force Commander from MINUSMA, Mr. Gillespor, and also the independent consultant from the International Peace Institute, Ms. Novoselov, for their reports and views. It is difficult indeed to overstate the importance of triangular cooperation. It plays a significant role, defining role in the practical effectiveness of UN peacekeeping because it brings together the key players who are involved in setting objectives, planning, managing and carrying out UN peacekeeping operations. The key platform in the UN system for implementing such cooperation is the Special Committee on Peacekeeping, the C34. It's unique in how representative it is. It is within the Special Committee that members of the Security Council and TPCCs develop common approaches to the parameters of peacekeeping activity and also carry out an interactive dialogue with the UN Secretariat on current issues. A sine qua non for reaching the necessary level of trust between all interested parties is transparency and also observing in practice the consensus agreements that are reached in intergovernmental formats. For example, it is namely the recommendations and conclusions adopted by the C34 that should be the guide for the UN Secretariat and missions on the ground when carrying out their executive functions. This fully refers to this also covers the textbooks, concepts, guidelines and other documents developed by the Secretariat. With these objectives, it's also important to observe the division of labour within the UN system between those structures that define the functioning of PKOs and to ensure that we don't impede the Special Committee in its mandate of looking at common issues for peacekeeping. In this, the Security Council, as the body within the Charter responsible for preventing threats to international peace and security, certainly plays the main role in forming the mandates for UN peacekeeping operations in each specific country. President, we advocate putting into practice the proposals for promoting triangular cooperation outlined in the C34's report. We're convinced that peacekeeping mandates and the conceptual know-how of the Secretariat should correlate with the opinions of both TPCCs and also host states or host countries. This, in turn, will allow us to have correct interpretation of the objectives set to avoid the possible overburdening of mandates and by doing so to increase the effectiveness of their implementation. In this context, we see there's a possibility for increasing the effectiveness of triangular cooperation by including in it the host countries who bear the main responsibility for protecting civilians, for the political process, for removing reasons for crisis and also for post-conflict reconstruction. As practice has shown, in those countries where there is an active cooperation based on mutual respect between the mission and the state, they create the preconditions for the effective achievement of objectives. TPCCs also play a defining role in guaranteeing effective UN peacekeeping operations because it is the blue helmets that they send who are called on to fulfill the objectives set by the Security Council. Their opinion and the timely information they can provide from the theatre of operation certainly is very important, and the experience that's built up is also good for the institutional memory within the UN system and for learning lessons for the future. We therefore restate the value of meetings between the Security Council and the TPCCs before a mandate of a peacekeeping mission is extended. We'd also like to note that the potential of the Military Staff Committee is still underestimated. Pursuant to Article 47 of the UN Charter, it shall be responsible under the Security Council and is called on to advise and assist the Security Council on all questions relating to the Security Council's military requirements. We think it would be logical to more closely look at the ways of utilising the analytical possibilities and the practical assistance that the Military Staff Committee can provide. In particular, there is something useful, and that is the practice that has been built up of carrying out country visits to UN missions and then following up with a report with recommendations for the Security Council, and also inviting military representatives of the elected members of the Security Council to take part in the Military Staff Committee's meetings. Besides this, we also think it's important that the authority of the Military Staff Committee be reconfirmed and that the Secretariat provide all of the necessary assistance to it in its activities in maintaining international peace and security. Thank you.
Agradezco al representante.
I thank the representative of the Russian